The call came at 6:14 a.m. on a Tuesday. I was already awake, sitting on the porch of my cabin outside Durango, Colorado, watching the sun climb over the mountains. I had been an early riser since the divorce. Sleep did not come easy anymore, so I stopped fighting it. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Mr. Ashford, this is Dr. Priya Ravenscroft at Children's Hospital Colorado in Aurora. I'm calling about your son, Caleb. I sat up straight. My son. A word I had not heard directed at me in 3 years. What happened? Is he okay? Caleb has been diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. He needs a bone marrow transplant. His mother provided us with your contact information as a potential donor. My ex-wife Nadine gave them my number. Nadine, who had spent 3 years telling our boys that I abandoned them. Nadine, who had blocked my number and returned every letter I sent unopened. Nadine, who had texted me after the divorce was final, saying the twins were ashamed to call me their father. That Nadine needed my help now. I'll be there in 6 hours, I said. My name is Fletcher Ashford. I am 41 years old. I work as a wilderness guide in southwestern Colorado, leading hiking and camping trips for tourists who want to experience the mountains. Before that, I was a high school history teacher in Denver, making decent money, living a normal life with a wife and twin sons. That life ended 3 years ago when Nadine decided I was not enough. The drive from Durango to Aurora took 5.5 hours. I pushed the speed limit the whole way, my old Jeep rattling over mountain passes and down into the flatlands east of the Rockies. I did not stop for food or gas or anything except to use the bathroom once at a rest stop near Poncha Springs. My boys, Caleb and Micah. They were 11 years old now. The last time I saw them in person, they were 8, standing in the driveway of the house I used to own, watching me load boxes into a rental truck. "Daddy, why are you leaving?" Micah had asked. "I'm not leaving you, buddy. I'm just moving to a different house. I'll see you every weekend, I promise." I never saw them again. Nadine made sure of that. The hospital was enormous, a sprawling complex of buildings connected by walkways and tunnels, filled with sick children and terrified parents. I found the oncology ward on the 4th floor and gave my name to the nurse at the desk. "Mr. Ashford, Dr. Ravenscroft is expecting you, but first there's someone who wants to speak with you." She gestured toward the waiting area. Nadine was sitting in a plastic chair, clutching a paper cup of coffee like it was the only thing keeping her upright. She looked older than I remembered, thinner. The confidence that had defined her during the divorce was gone, replaced by something hollow and desperate. She saw me and stood. "Fletcher." "Nadine." We stared at each other across 3 years of silence. "Thank you for coming," she finally said. "I know I don't deserve." "Where is Caleb?" She flinched at my tone. "Room 412. He's sleeping. The chemo is hard on him." "And Micah?" "With my mother. He wanted to come, but I thought—" She trailed off. "I thought it would be easier if he wasn't here for the testing." Easier for who? I wanted to ask. But I did not have the energy for that fight, not now. Where do I go for the bone marrow test? "The lab is on the 2nd floor. Dr. Ravenscroft said she would meet you there." Nadine reached out like she wanted to touch my arm, then stopped herself. "Fletcher, I know things ended badly between us, but Caleb needs this. He needs you. He's needed me for 3 years, Nadine. You just wouldn't let him have me." I walked away before she could respond. The bone marrow compatibility test took about an hour. They drew blood, swabbed my cheek, ran me through a medical history questionnaire. Dr. Ravenscroft was a small woman with kind eyes and an efficient manner. She explained the process clearly, answered my questions patiently, treated me like a human being instead of just a potential donor. "We should have preliminary results within a few hours," she said. "If you're compatible, we'll discuss next steps." The donation procedure itself is relatively straightforward, though it does require a short hospital stay. Whatever he needs, I don't care about the procedure. Just tell me if I can help my son." She nodded and left me in the waiting room. I sat there for 3 hours, did not eat, did not read, just sat and thought about Caleb, about Micah, about all the years I had missed. When Dr. Ravenscroft finally returned, her face was different. Something was wrong. "Mr. Ashford, could you come with me, please?" She led me down a corridor to a small conference room. Inside were 2 other people, a man in a suit and a woman in a white coat. They were both staring at a folder on the table. "Mr. Ashford, this is Dr. Yusuf Okonkwo, our head of hematology, and this is Dr. Celeste Huang, our chief of genetics." Genetics? Why would they need a geneticist? "Please, sit down." I sat. My heart was pounding. "Mr. Ashford," Dr. Ravenscroft began slowly, "we ran your compatibility test 3 times. We checked for lab errors, contamination, anything that might explain what we found." "What do you mean? Am I not a match?" The 3 doctors exchanged glances. "Mr. Ashford," Dr. Okonkwo said, "the test results show that you are not biologically related to Caleb." The words did not make sense. "That's impossible. He's my son. He and Micah are twins. I was there when they were born." "We understand this is difficult to hear, but genetics don't lie." Dr. Huang leaned forward. "We ran a full panel. There is no paternal DNA match between you and Caleb, and based on the genetic markers, we believe there would be no match with Micah either." "What are you saying? That neither of them is mine?" "That's exactly what we're saying, Mr. Ashford. Neither twin shares your DNA. You cannot be their biological father." The room started spinning. I grabbed the edge of the table. "Then who—" "We don't know. That would require testing other potential fathers." Dr. Ravenscroft's voice was gentle. "Mr. Ashford, I'm so sorry. I can't imagine how this must feel." I could not speak, could not think, could not do anything except stare at the folder on the table, the folder that contained proof that my entire life had been a lie. 11 years. 11 years of loving those boys, of coaching their soccer teams and helping with their homework and reading them bedtime stories. 11 years of believing I was their father. And none of it was real. "There's something else," Dr. Huang said carefully. "Something that makes the situation more complicated." "More complicated?" "The genetic analysis revealed an anomaly. Caleb and Micah are twins, yes, but they're not identical twins as you were presumably told. They're fraternal." "Okay, so?" "Fraternal twins can have different fathers. It's rare, but it happens. It's called heteropaternal superfecundation." I stared at her. "Different fathers? You're saying my twins have different fathers?" "We're saying Caleb and Micah have different biological fathers, neither of whom is you." Dr. Huang paused. "Mr. Ashford, your ex-wife was apparently involved with at least 2 other men during the time of conception." 2 other men, not 1. 2. Nadine had not just cheated on me. She had cheated with multiple people, gotten pregnant by 2 different men, and let me believe for 11 years that I was the father of both children. I stood up, then sat back down. My legs would not work. "I need a minute." "Take all the time you need," Dr. Ravenscroft said. "We'll be outside when you're ready." They left me alone in that conference room. I sat there for a long time, staring at nothing, trying to understand how everything I believed about my life had just been erased. I met Nadine Colebrook at a friend's wedding in 2009. She was a bridesmaid. I was a groomsman. We were paired together for the reception entrance, and by the time dinner was over, I knew I wanted to see her again. She was 26, working as a marketing coordinator for a tech startup. Smart, ambitious, with a laugh that made you feel like you were the funniest person alive. We dated for 2 years, got engaged on a trip to San Francisco, and married in the fall of 2011. Looking back, I can see the warning signs, the way she always needed attention, the way she flirted with other men and called it harmless, the way she would disappear for hours and come back with explanations that never quite added up. But I was in love, and love makes you blind. The twins were born in March 2013. Nadine had told me they were identical. 2 boys, same egg split in 2, perfect copies of each other. I believed her because why would I not? I was not a doctor. I did not know the difference between identical and fraternal twins. I held those babies in the delivery room and cried. Caleb came first, then Micah 4 minutes later. They were tiny and wrinkled and perfect, and I loved them instantly. For the next 8 years I was a father, not a perfect father. I worked too much, missed some school events, lost my temper more than I should have, but I showed up. Every day I showed up, changed diapers and wiped noses and sat through endless hours of youth soccer. Read stories and checked for monsters under beds and held them when they were scared. I thought we were happy, thought our family was solid. In 2020, Nadine told me she wanted a divorce. I'm not happy, Fletcher. I haven't been happy for years. What do you mean? I thought we were good. Good isn't enough. I want more than good. I want excitement, passion, something real. Real? We have 2 kids. We have a life. What's more real than that? She looked at me with something like pity. You don't understand. You never understood. She had a lawyer already, had everything planned out. The house, the accounts, custody of the boys. She wanted full control, and she had the resources to get it. Her parents were wealthy. Her father owned a chain of car dealerships across the Front Range. They bankrolled her legal team, and I could not compete. I tried to fight for the boys, tried to argue that I was a good father, that I deserved at least joint custody. But Nadine's lawyers painted a different picture. Absent father, emotionally unavailable, more interested in his career than his children. None of it was true, but truth does not always win in family court. The judge gave Nadine full custody. I got visitation every other weekend, supervised at first, then unsupervised if things went well. Things never got the chance to go well. 2 weeks after the divorce was finalized, Nadine moved the boys to her parents' house in Castle Rock. She changed their school, changed their phone numbers, changed everything. When I showed up for my first scheduled visitation, no one was there. I called her lawyer. He said Nadine had filed for a modification based on my erratic behavior. I had not behaved erratically. I had simply tried to see my sons. The courts moved slowly. By the time I got a hearing, Nadine had built a wall of paperwork and accusations. She claimed I had threatened her, claimed the boys were afraid of me, claimed I was unstable and dangerous. I lost my visitation rights entirely. The last text I received from Nadine was 6 words. They're ashamed you're their father. I moved to Durango after that. Could not stay in Denver. Could not walk past playgrounds and schools without thinking about what I had lost. I took a job as a wilderness guide because it kept me outdoors, kept me moving, kept me from sitting alone with my thoughts. For 3 years, I tried to rebuild. Tried to accept that my boys were gone, tried to find some kind of peace. Then, Caleb got sick. And suddenly, Nadine needed me again. I found Nadine in the hospital cafeteria. She was sitting alone at a corner table, pushing food around her plate without eating. She looked up when I approached, and something in my face must have told her that I knew. Fletcher did the test. You lied to me. Her fork clattered against the plate. What? 11 years. You lied to me for 11 years. I sat down across from her, my voice low but steady. The boys aren't mine, neither of them. The doctors ran the test 3 times. Nadine's face went through several expressions. Confusion, then fear, then something that looked like calculation. That's not possible. There must be a mistake. No mistake, they also told me something interesting. Caleb and Micah aren't identical twins, they're fraternal, which means they could have different fathers. She said nothing. Different fathers, Nadine, as in 2 different men who aren't me. Still, nothing. Who are they? Fletcher? I don't think this is the time. My son is dying upstairs, except he's not my son, is he? So I think this is exactly the time. I leaned forward. Who are the fathers? Nadine closed her eyes. It was a long time ago, before we were married. We were engaged. We were trying to get pregnant. I know. Who? She opened her eyes. They were wet. Does it matter? It matters because one of them might be a match for Caleb. It matters because you've been lying to me for over a decade. It matters because I gave up everything for those boys, and they were never even mine. Nadine wiped her eyes with a napkin. Grant Holloway and Dex Yarbrough. Two names I had never heard before. Who are they? Grant was my personal trainer, back when I was doing CrossFit. Dex he worked at my company. We had a thing during a business trip. She shook her head. It was stupid. I was young and confused, and you were always working, and I felt alone. So, you slept with two different men while we were engaged? It wasn't like that. It wasn't some big affair. It was just what? Just two separate men who might have fathered the children I raised as my own? She had no answer for that. I stood up. Where are they now, Grant and Dex? I don't know. I haven't talked to either of them in years. Find them, today. One of them might be able to save Caleb's life. Fletcher, wait. She grabbed my arm. Does this mean, are you not going to help? You're not going to be tested? I already was tested. I'm not a match, because I'm not his father. I pulled my arm free. Find the real fathers, Nadine. I'll stay until you do. But after that, we're done. I walked out of the cafeteria. I made it to the stairwell before I broke down. Sat on the concrete steps and cried like I had not cried since the divorce. Everything I had lost. Everything I had sacrificed. Everything I had mourned for 3 years, and none of it had been real. The boys I loved were not mine. Had never been mine. But I still loved them. That was the worst part. Even knowing the truth, even knowing Nadine had lied about everything, I still loved Caleb and Micah. Still wanted to see them grow up, graduate, get married, have kids of their own. Biology did not create that love. 11 years of being their father did, and biology could not erase it either. Finding Grant Holloway and Dex Yarbrough took 3 days. Nadine hired a private investigator, paid for by her parents who had suddenly become very cooperative now that their grandson was dying. I stayed at a motel near the hospital, visiting Caleb whenever the doctors allowed. He was so thin, the chemo had taken his hair, his energy, his appetite. But his eyes were the same, those deep blue eyes that had looked at me with such trust when he was small. Dad? He still called me Dad. Even after 3 years of Nadine telling him I was a monster, he still called me Dad. Hey buddy, how are you feeling? Tired, everything hurts. I know, but the doctors are working hard to make you better. They're going to find someone who can help. Is it you? Mom said you might be a match. I hesitated. He did not know yet. Nadine had not told him. We're still figuring that out, buddy, but whatever happens, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. He smiled weakly. I missed you, Dad. I missed you too, more than you know. I held his hand until he fell asleep. Micah came to visit on the second day. He was bigger than Caleb, healthier, with their mother's dark hair instead of the light brown that Caleb and I had shared. Now I knew why they looked different. Different fathers. Hi, he said awkwardly from the doorway. Hi, Micah, you can come in. He shuffled into the room, avoiding eye contact. Mom said you came to help Caleb. That's right. She said you weren't a match. So Nadine had told him that much, just not the whole truth. No, I wasn't. But they're looking for someone else who might be. Micah nodded. He looked like he wanted to say something else but did not know how. You can ask me, Micah. Whatever you want to know. He finally looked at me. Why didn't you fight harder? For us, I mean, after the divorce. Mom said you didn't want us anymore, but I never believed her. My heart cracked open. I fought as hard as I could, buddy. But your mom had lawyers I couldn't afford, and the judge believed her instead of me. I tried to see you, called, wrote letters, Showed up at your school once. Nothing worked. We never got any letters. I know. Your mom made sure of that." Micah was quiet for a moment. "She lied about a lot of things, didn't she?" "Yeah, she did." "Is she lying about something else? Something about the test?" "Smart kid. Always had been." "Ask your mom, Micah. It's not my place to tell you." He looked at me for a long moment. Then he nodded and walked to his brother's bedside. I left them alone together. Grant Holloway was found on the third day. He was living in Phoenix, working as a fitness consultant for a chain of gyms. The private investigator tracked him down through social media and old employment records. Nadine called him. I was not there for the conversation, but I saw her face afterward. "He's coming. He said he'll get tested." "Does he know about Caleb?" "He knows now." "What did he say?" Nadine looked away. "He said he always suspected. That I told him I was pregnant right before I married you, and then, suddenly, I was having twins. He knew. For 11 years, he knew there was a chance, and he never said anything. He said he didn't want to ruin my marriage." I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. "My marriage was ruined the moment you cheated on me, Nadine. He just helped you hide it better." Grant Holloway arrived the next morning. He was tall, muscular, with the kind of physique you would expect from a personal trainer. He walked into the hospital like he owned the place, all confidence and swagger. I hated him immediately, but he was here to save Caleb, so I kept my mouth shut. The test took 2 hours. We waited in the same conference room where my world had fallen apart. Dr. Ravenscroft came in with the results. "Mr. Holloway, you're a partial match, not perfect, but close enough to proceed with the transplant." Grant pumped his fist. "Yes, that's what I'm talking about." Nadine started crying. "Thank God, thank God." I said nothing. Dr. Ravenscroft continued. "We'll need to schedule the procedure as soon as possible. Caleb's condition is deteriorating. Can you stay in town for the next week?" "Whatever it takes," Grant said. "He's my son, right? I'm going to save my son." My son. He said it so easily, like 11 years of my life meant nothing. I stood up and walked out of the room. No one tried to stop me. I was packing my bag at the motel when someone knocked on the door. Micah was standing in the hallway, alone. "How did you get here?" "Took an Uber. Don't tell Mom." I stepped aside to let him in. "You're leaving," he said, looking at my bag. "Yeah, Grant's a match. They don't need me anymore." "I need you." The words hit me like a punch. "Micah, I know, okay? I figured it out. Mom told Caleb about Grant, about how he's the biological father, and I saw the way she looked at me afterward, like she was deciding whether to tell me too." He sat down on the edge of the bed. "So I asked her, straight out, and she admitted it. Some guy named Dex is my real father. I'm sorry, Micah, I'm so sorry." "Don't be. You didn't do anything wrong." He looked up at me. "You're still my dad. I don't care what some DNA test says. You're the one who taught me to ride a bike. You're the one who stayed up all night when I had the flu. You're the one who actually showed up." I sat down next to him. I wanted to be there. Every day for the past 3 years, I wanted to be there. "I know, I figured that out too." He wiped his eyes. "Mom lied about everything, didn't she? About you not wanting us, about you being dangerous, all of it." "Yeah, she did." "Why?" "I don't know. I've been asking myself that question for 3 years." We sat in silence for a while. "What happens now?" Micah asked. "Grant saves Caleb. Your mom deals with the consequences of her lies, and you and your brother figure out who you want in your lives. I want you in my life. Both of us do. Caleb asked about you this morning. Asked if you were coming back. I don't know if I can, buddy. Your mom has custody. The courts—" "Forget the courts." Micah's voice was suddenly fierce. "I'm 14 in 2 months, Caleb too. The judge will listen to us. We'll tell them what Mom did. We'll tell them we want to live with you. It's not that simple." "It should be." He was right, it should be. "Let me talk to a lawyer," I said finally. "Let me see what our options are. But Micah, I need you to understand something." "What?" "I might not be your biological father, but I will always, always be your dad, no matter what happens with the courts or the custody or any of it. I'm your dad. Nothing changes that." Micah hugged me, held on tight like he used to when he was small. "I love you, Dad." "I love you too, buddy, both of you, forever." The transplant happened a week later. Grant donated his bone marrow. Caleb received it. The procedure went smoothly, and within a few days there were signs that the transplant was taking. My son, the one who was not biologically mine, was going to live. I visited him every day during his recovery. Nadine did not try to stop me. She could not, really. The boys had made it clear that they wanted me there, and after everything that had come out, she was not in a position to argue. Grant stuck around for a few days after the donation, basking in the attention of being the hero. But when the spotlight faded, when Caleb was no longer in immediate danger, he disappeared back to Phoenix, biological father. 11 years of absence, 1 week of presence, gone again. That told me everything I needed to know about Grant Holloway. Dex Yarborough never showed up at all. The private investigator found him, but he refused to get involved. Said he had his own family now and did not want to complicate things. Micah took that news hard, but he recovered the way kids do. "I've got one, Dad," he told me a few weeks later. "I don't need another one." The custody battle took 8 months. I hired a lawyer this time, a real one, not the overworked public defender I had used during the divorce. Her name was Rosario Mendez, and she specialized in complicated custody cases. "You have a strong case," she told me after reviewing everything. The biological father revelation, the parental alienation, the fact that both boys want to live with you. "We can work with this." What are my chances? Better than they were 3 years ago, especially if Nadine doesn't fight too hard. Nadine did not fight at all. I think she was tired. Tired of lying, tired of maintaining the facade, tired of being the villain in her own story. When the mediation started, she agreed to joint custody almost immediately. "I messed up," she told me during a break in negotiations. "I know I messed up." "Yeah, you did." "I was scared, Fletcher. After the divorce, I was scared you would take them away from me, so I took them away from you first. That doesn't make it right." "I know, nothing makes it right." She sighed. "But I want the boys to have their father, their real father, the one who raised them. Can we at least agree on that?" For the first time in years, we agreed on something. The final custody arrangement gave me the boys every other week, plus holidays and summer vacations. Not perfect, but better than nothing. Better than the 3 years of silence that had come before. Caleb recovered fully. The bone marrow transplant took, his leukemia went into remission, and within a year he was back to his old self. Playing soccer, struggling with math, arguing with his brother about video games, normal kid stuff. He knows about Grant now, knows the man who donated his bone marrow is his biological father, but he also knows who raised him. "Grant saved my life," he told me once, "but you made my life worth saving." I cried when he said that, could not help it. Micah never reached out to Dex, never wanted to. He said he had everything he needed right here. The boys are 15 now. High school freshmen, dealing with all the drama and confusion that comes with that age. They still spend every other week at my cabin in Durango, hiking and camping and learning to fish in the mountain streams. It is not the life I imagined. Not the unbroken family I thought I was building when I held them in the delivery room all those years ago. But it is real, it is honest, and it is mine. Nadine and I are not friends. Probably never will be. But we have found a way to coexist, to communicate about the boys without fighting, to put their needs ahead of our old wounds. She is getting married again, I heard. Some accountant she met through her father's business. I hope it works out for her. Not for her sake, but for the boys. They deserve stability. I am not dating anyone. Have not really tried since the divorce. Maybe someday I will. But for now, I have everything I need. 2 sons who call me Dad, a home in the mountains, and the knowledge that biology is the least important part of being a father. I keep a photo on my desk. It is from the boys' first soccer game back when they were 6. They are wearing matching jerseys, holding a trophy that everyone got for participating, grinning at the camera like they just won the World Cup. I am in the background, out of focus, but you can tell I am smiling too. That photo was taken during the good years. Before the divorce, before the custody battle, before I learned that the boys I loved were not biologically mine. I used to look at it and feel sad. All that happiness, all that innocence, all of it built on a lie. Now, I look at it and feel grateful. Grateful for those years. Grateful for the boys those babies became. Grateful that despite everything Nadine did, despite all the lies and manipulation, the bond I built with Caleb and Micah survived. Blood does not make a family. Showing up does. Being there for the hard parts and the easy parts and everything in between. I showed up. For 11 years as their only father, and for the 3 years when I was forbidden from seeing them at all. I never stopped showing up, and when they were old enough to choose for themselves, they chose me. That is worth more than any DNA test. So here is my question for you. What makes someone a father? Is it biology? Is it a legal document? Or is it something deeper, something that cannot be measured in a lab or argued in a courtroom? I spent 3 years thinking I had lost my sons. Turns out I never lost them at all. They were waiting for me the whole time. Tell me your story. What does family mean to you? If this resonated with you, hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe to the channel. New stories every day. Real people, impossible situations, and the strength we find when everything falls apart. Turn on notifications so you do not miss a single one. Thank you for staying until the end. It means everything. I will see you in the next one.